Oh yeah, time for a little warrior history. My training partner Matt Steamroller Frivola watched The Last Samurai, and he was like, "Yo, madam, we gotta do a fit history, a warrior history on samurai." So I was like, "All right, good idea." I mean, I love the samurai ethos. I train with a group of Japanese kids at law, and I call them the samurai camp. They have a certain warrior ethos, very samurai like. So when he asked me to do that, I feel like everyone knows the greatest samurai, Miyamoto Musashi, who I named my dog Sashi after. My little Miyamoto Musashi. I had a Shiba Inu. She was Japanese, if you please. So she was Japanese, and I named her Musashi. We called her Sashi for short. So the greatest samurai, I was almost going to gloss over him thinking he was so popular, but no discussion of samurai should start without him. And Miyamoto Musashi lived at like one of the greatest periods for samurai, from the late 1500s to the mid 1600s AD in Japan. So Miyamoto Musashi, super badass, he fights 61 duels over the course of his life. From about the time he's 13, he kills his first man. Talk about a rite of passage, 13 years old. Most people are just trying to get laid first, but Musashi's out there killing. So and then I think he retires from dueling in like his late 30s. So over the course of, I guess, 25 years, fights 2 to 3 fights a year, 61 duels. During that time also, he serves a shogun, so he's at war as well. So 61 hand-to-hand combats doesn't include how many people he might have killed during war. He's fought in 7 major battles. Unfortunately for Musashi, very successful in the duel. The fortunes of warfare are always doubtful, and a lot of times Musashi was on the losing side. In war, one man cannot an army defeat, no matter how good that one man is. So Musashi travels the world, his world travels Japan, and he goes around dueling the masters of other schools. He himself practices the two-sword style, right, which is something else that's like a interesting quality. Some people use the short sword, the long sword. He's like, no, use both swords. So his is the way of two swords, and he uses them interchangeably. He uses a wooden sword sometimes to defeat his opponents. So Musashi's pretty crafty as far as his methodology. What I really take away from Musashi, and why I think the discussion of samurai should start with him, is because he applies the way of the warrior to the way of life. So he's like, what you do in battle has a direct influence on how you approach the world. So he's like, don't let anyone control you through anger towards them. Really good advice for the warrior, right? If you get too hyped and you get overly aggressive, you could miss shots and then wind up getting caught yourself, especially if you watch MMA. How many times someone just, has someone hurt and they rush, and next thing you know, that they get their emotions involved and then they get caught. So having those emotions, he's like, if you control those in life, easier than in the fight, right? Because the fight happens so quick, everything's so fast. So we have more space in life to control our emotions actually than we do in the fight. So if you could do it in the fight, you should be able to think about that and apply it to your life. Control your emotions, or else someone has power over you, and that's when you can get caught by them. So I love that. Then he also applies, thinking of speed. He's like, there's more to life than increasing the speed of it. Same thing in fighting, right? Sometimes you're like, oh, go faster or go harder. But accuracy, timing, appreciation are some qualities that Miyamoto Musashi tries to instill in his students. Also, if you try to rush, you miss things, right? He's looking for the right opportunity. Musashi didn't become a master and defeat all these men. Remember, a duel is to the death. So he killed 61 people. If he would have lost, he wouldn't have the Book of Five Rings. So very, important to think how grave, the matters he's dealing with. And he's like, don't be attached to them. Don't get angry about them. Just cut that person down. So his philosophy, just do the thing. I find, really valuable in regular life. Musashi also encourages simplicity in life. Do nothing which has no use, right? So he's ruthless in his discipline to take out the things that aren't useful. I mean, think about all the things in our own life. I mean, our modern world, there's so many things we do that we're like, oh, I need to do that, but really don't serve any purpose into furthering our goals, right? So Musashi cuts all that away, so he has time then to pursue avenues which will develop his personal growth. So, like most ancient warriors, I know with a lot of times we think of fighting as a violent thing, but like Henzo Gracie says, fighting's the best thing you could have in your soul, right? When you have to wake up in the morning for a hard day, believe me, it's a fight, right? So fighting's probably like an ennobling quality, especially for our ancestors. And Musashi wants simplicity so he can follow other paths that he finds empowering, not just the study of the sword, but he loves to write, writes philosophy. He has not just the Book of Five Rings, but he has a second book that's just philosophy. And a lot of the Japanese warriors were Buddhist philosophers. The great work, The Unfettered Mind, which I'll talk about later on in the series on samurai. Takuan Soho was the master of Buddhist philosophy and wrote to the Japanese samurai Minuri, I think I'm saying that right, who is actually a rival of Musashi. And we'll study these three figures in more detail. So Musashi is all about simplicity. Now, when you have simplicity in life, he wants to write and do philosophy, and he loves flower arrangement and the tea ceremony and art and calligraphy, right? He has things that he finds empowering and self-exploratory, because the path of the warrior deals a lot with self-exploration. First is mastery over yourself, then mastery over lesser men, and in time, over greater challenges, right? So there's a path there for the martial artist, and it applies to life. In life, if you want to master something, first master yourself. Then you can undertake smaller things that you will accomplish. And eventually, the largest tasks will be attainable through practice. Musashi's very, big into practice. Anything in life, right? Everything is tough at first, he says. All things are like that, right? Many things are difficult at first. So, but you will improve, right? So he has a really growth mindset, right? Constant improvement, which is really applicable to life in general. That growth mindset helps him to be one of the greatest samurai. And then he has the Book of Five Rings. He writes his philosophy. And by being simplistic, he's able to cultivate all that time for personal development. If all you do is stay busy, or like, I'm so busy, we often lack the time to grow as a person. You just stay doing the same thing and don't really grow. So it's important for the greatest warriors in Musashi in life and in fighting to cultivate simplicity, right? And in martial arts, simplicity wins fights. People still throw the jab, right? You do a double leg takedown, the simple things, a cross, a right hand, right? The left hook. The basics, should be 80% of what you do. And then you'll have room 20% to put in that flair. So that's about what I'd like to take away from Musashi. His simplicity, control of emotions, applying the principles of fighting to all the aspects of life. How to take your time, how to be precise, cultivate simplicity. Don't let anger control you. Control your own emotions. These things in life will take you way farther than they would anywhere else. And when you apply them to life, you won't risk getting your head cut off.